Learn English through stories dewanted. Adopted and modified by Kulwant Singh Sandhu. Contents. 1. Lady Godiva of Coventry 2 School in London 3 Two Frogs 4 Rainbow Unicorn and Wicked Robot. 1. Lady Godiva of Coventry. Please, Leofric, please. The people are so poor and hungry because you make them pay so much tax. The Earl looked at his beautiful wife. He loved her very much, but he needed money from the people of Coventry, England, so that he could govern the city well. Godiva was crying. It made him sad to see her cry, but he did not want to ask for less money from the people. The children are dressed in rags and look so thin and... All right, Godiva, I will do what you want and ask for less tax. Thank you, Leo. Thank you. Leofric really needed a lot of tax money, and he wished she understood this. Godiva took her husband's hand and kissed it with her sweet, red mouth. But only, if you agree to ride naked through the streets of Coventry City on your favorite white horse. What, Leofric, are you mad? Why do you ask me to do such a terrible thing? Because, Godiva, my lovely wife, we can then see how much you really do care about the poor of this city. Of course, if you are too proud to do such a simple thing, then your love for your poor Coventry people is not very great, is it? Leofric turned away from her, laughing. Godiva was hurt and angry. Our people will not suffer any more. I will ride through the streets, as bare as a newborn baby tomorrow at 12 noon. Leofric stopped laughing. He did not want her to do that. It would make him look like a very bad husband, and he did not want people to see his wife, Lady Godiva, without her clothes. Godiva, She walked away from him. Tomorrow, noon. Leofric's messengers shouted out this message throughout the city. Tomorrow at noon, stay inside your houses, close all windows and doors. Anyone who looks out onto the street will be punished. The Coventry citizens did not understand at first, but later they found out about Godiva's promise. How they loved their brave lady. By 12 noon the next day, the busy streets of Coventry became silent. It was as if the whole city was dead, as the people sat indoors with all doors and windows closed. Only the sound of the horse hooves on the road could be heard as Godiva's horse carried her through the city. Only one person, a man called Tom, was too curious to see Lady Godiva with no clothes on. He made a hole in the window shutter. The old legend is that as he looked through the hole, he became blind. From then on he was known as the Blind Man Peeping Tom, the man who nearly shamed their Lady Godiva. Leofric also felt shamed by his brave wife's deed and asked for less tax from the people after this, and the people rejoiced. The legend of Lady Godiva has been famous for nearly 1,000 years. Note, it is one of the most famous stories in British history. The young noblewoman Godiva, warm-hearted and compassionate, sees the difficulties of the people of Coventry, faced with harsh taxes imposed by her middle-aged husband, Earl Leofric of Mercia. She was a rich lady, but she did something unthinkable for the people of Coventry. Her real name was Godjifu, meaning God's gift. Moral: the purpose of human life is to serve, and to show compassion and the will to help others. 2. School in England. One cold winter day, a little girl and her father arrived in London. Sarah Crewe was 7 years old, and she had long black hair and green eyes. She sat in the cab next to her father and looked out of the window at the tall houses and the dark sky. "What are you thinking about, Sarah?" Mr. Crewe asked. "You are very quiet." He put his arm round his daughter. "I'm thinking about our house in India," said Sarah. "And the hot sun and the blue sky. I don't think I like England very much, Father." "Yes, it's very different from India," her father said. But you must go to school in London, and I must go back to India and work. Yes, father, I know, said Sarah. But I want to be with you. Please come to school with me. I can help you with your lessons. Mr. Crewe smiled, but he was not happy. He loved his little Sarah very much, and he did not want to be without her. Sarah's mother was dead, and Sarah was his only child. Father and daughter were very good friends. Soon they arrived at Miss Minchin's school for girls and went into the big house. Miss Minchin was a tall woman in a black dress. She looked at Sarah, and then gave a very big smile. "What a beautiful child," she said to Mr. Crewe. Sarah stood quietly and watched Miss Minchin. Why does she say that, she thought. I am not beautiful, so why does she say it? Sarah was not beautiful, but her father was rich. And Miss Minchin liked girls with rich fathers, because it was good for the school and good for Miss Minchin too. Sarah is a good girl, Mr. Crewe said to Miss Minchin. Her mother was French, so she speaks French well. She loves books, and she reads all the time, but she must play with the other girls and make new friends too. Of course, said Miss Minchin. She smiled again. Sarah is going to be very happy here, Mr. Crewe. Mr. Crewe stayed in London for a week. He and Sarah went to the shops, and he bought many beautiful, expensive dresses for his daughter. He bought books and flowers for her room, and a big doll with beautiful dresses too. Miss Minchin smiled, but she said to her sister Amelia, all that money on dresses for a child of 7. She looks like a little princess, not a schoolgirl. When Mr. Crewe left London, he was very sad. Sarah was very sad too, but she did not cry. She sat in her room and thought about her father on the ship back to India. Father wants me to be happy, she said to her new doll. I love him very much and I want to be a good daughter, so I must be happy. It was a very big and very beautiful doll, but of course it could not answer. Sarah soon made new friends in the school. Some little rich girls are not very nice children. They think they are important because they have money and lots of expensive things. But Sarah was different. She liked beautiful dresses and dolls, but she was more interested in people and books and telling stories. She was very good at telling stories. She was a clever child, and the other girls loved to listen to her. The stories were all about kings and queens and princesses and wonderful countries across the sea. How do you think of all those things? Asked her best friend, Ermengarde. I have all these pictures in my head, said Sarah. So it's easy to tell stories about them. Poor Ermengarde was not clever. She could never remember any of her school lessons, and Miss Minchin was always angry with her. Sarah often helped Ermengarde with her lessons. Listen, Ermie, she said. You remember that French king, Louis XVI? Well, this is a story about him. One day in 1792. And so Ermengarde learned her lessons through Sarah's stories, and she loved her friend very much. But not everybody was Sarah's friend. Lavinia was an older girl. Before Sarah came, Lavinia was the richest and the most important girl in the school. But Sarah's father was richer than Lavinia's father. So now Sarah was more important than Lavinia, and Lavinia did not like that. Oh, Sarah is so clever, Lavinia often said. Sarah is so good at French, her dresses are so beautiful, and she can sing so well, and she is so rich, of course, Miss Minchin likes her best. Sarah did not answer when Lavinia said these things. Sometimes it was not easy, but Sarah was a kind, friendly girl, and she did not like to be angry with anyone. Moral: never argue with a fool. Onlookers may not be able to tell the difference. 3. Two Frogs. Frog Dilla and his wife Chusty lived near the pond in a village. A few years back, there were many trees around the pond. It was a cool and calm place to live in. Now it has changed. There is a big factory. There are so many new people. There is a lot of noise in the village. It is no longer a cool and calm place to live in. Dilla is happy. He does not mind change. But his wife Chusty is very angry because there is so much litter near the pond. Dilla, dear Chusty, look at the new factory. How big it is. Our village is now improving and progressing. Chusty, progressing to what? Don't you realize that our health is in danger? Dilla, what are you talking about? Chusty, just look around you. People have modern houses with all sort of facilities. They don't know how to use them properly. Dilla, what do you want to say? Chusty, they are not using their toilets. Dilla, what? Chusty, they do their toilet in the open place. Near my home. It is stinking. It is disgusting. They are not even afraid of the danger. Dilla, what danger? Chusty, please tell me. Chusty, diseases. How can we forget the 2 children died from diarrhea and infection last week? People should be more careful about hygienic matters. After this, they started a campaign to raise public awareness about sanitation and diseases. They went to people's houses to show their concern. Everybody was praising what Dilla and Chusty were doing. However, one thing they did not realize was that people who were doing toilet in the open were not the people from modern houses. They were factory workers. The facilities for them were not adequate. Good news. The factory owners have decided to build more toilets and showers for the factory workers next to the factory. Hygiene is 2/3 of health. 4. Rainbow Unicorn and Wicked Robot. Once upon a time in a kingdom, there lived a magical flying unicorn. Her name was Satrangi. Satrangi lived in a beautiful forest surrounded by sparkling streams and colorful flowers. She was very kind and gentle unicorn. She was always ready to help those in need. One day, a wicked robot appeared in the kingdom. His name was Dushat. Dushat was determined to enslave the world under his feet. He was cruel and heartless. His metal body was stronger than any living creature. Satrangi knew she had to stop Dushat before it was too late. She flew high into the sky. They were marching on the land, causing destruction wherever they went. Determined to save the kingdom, Satrangi flew down and faced Dushat. She fought with him with her determination and bravery. But Dushat was too strong for Satrangi to defeat on her own. Just as she was about to lose the battle, a group of brave people arrived to help her. These people were known as Surma Bahadur. Together, they fought against Dushat using all their strength and courage. In the end, Satrangi and Surma Bahadur were able to defeat Dushat and his army. The kingdom was saved. Peace was restored once again. From that day on, everybody praised Satrangi. The people in the kingdom were happy. She lived the rest of her life in peace, spreading joy and magic wherever she went. Magician, magician, he will cast a spell, no one will understand. After defeating all, he will win.